More and more of you these days are choosing to purchase your bikes through the internet, and there's a reasonable chance that you may well have done this through a company called Wiggle. So in this video, we're going to show you how to build the bike up once it comes through your front door. All you're going to need for the job is a pair of these, scissors. Inside we've got a bicycle safety manual for the specific bike, a pair of pedals in here as well, reasonably basic ones. We've got a multi-tool with various Allen keys and screwdriver fittings which will be used in a minute when we build the bike up. And we've got a pedal spanner. Finally, a little treat. Nice touch. Okay, once inside, remove the bike from the big box. And as you can see, it's already pretty much built up. The wheels are already on it, and actually all we need to do really is put the handlebars onto the stem and then attach our pedals to the cranks. At this point, once we've got the bike removed and before we take the remaining packaging away from it, it's quite a good idea just to have a quick check over the frame and the rest of the components just to make sure there are no scratches or blemishes, which might mean you need to send it back. It's unlikely, but this is the point where you should check. So then we can get on to taking these zip ties off and the rest of this packaging so we can put the handlebars onto the stem. Now just be very careful with your scissors when you're doing this. The last thing you want is to actually scratch the bike yourself. I'm probably going to need this multi-tool or my own set of Allen keys in order to remove the front cap of the stem here. Just be careful when you take each of these bolts out. We're ready to load the handlebars into the front of the stem. Want to start getting each of the bolts back into position, which you should be able to do initially by hand. It should go in reasonably easy most of the way in each of the bolts. Okay, now before I do these up at all tight, I'm now going to get the bars roughly into the centre, and you can see here on most modern bars there's some kind of markings to indicate where the centre is, and you'll be able to judge either on the side of the stem on the handlebars, or if there's a gap like there is on the front part of this stem, you'll be able to see it in the middle there. The other thing to remember is to do each bolt up a little at a time so as not to place too much stress on each individual one. And we want to get it now to the point where we can still move the handlebars up and down, but when we're not holding the bars, the stem is tight enough to keep them in place, because that way we can adjust the angle of the hoods to where we want them. Now once you've got the hoods into the right place for you, then it's time to do the bolts up, and you'll notice on the top of the stem it's got a torque reading. In this instance it's 5 Newton meters, and we would thoroughly recommend that you use a torque wrench in order to do these bolts up. They're potentially or arguably the most sensitive bolts on the bike. Okay, so once the handlebars are in place, we can simply remove the remainder of the packaging on the rest of the bike. It's not actually too much on here. The box is pretty sturdy. And then we're pretty much ready to go. All of course that we need to do is to put our pedals on. Now I haven't mentioned it already, but all reputable mail order companies, of course Wiggle included, will do safety checks whilst they're building the bike up and again before they put it in the box and send it out to you. But it is worth just going over a few things yourself just to be 100% sure. And we'll go through those now. Now the bike already came with the wheels installed, but it's always just worth checking that the quick release skewers both at the back and the front. After that I'm going to have a quick check of the brakes. Start with the back one, which for us in the UK is on the left here. Pull it on, and when you push the bike forward the rear wheel should be locked up. Do the same thing with the front. When you do this one, you push the bike forward, the rear wheel should come off the ground. Whilst you've got the front brake pressed on, put your other hand around the headset at the top of the head tube here. Rock the bike forwards and backwards and check that there's no play. If there isn't any play, just check that there's free when you steer as well. The other thing to check with the brakes is that the calipers here are central. The 2 brake blocks on either side of the rim should be equidistant away. If it has got knocked slightly in transit, it's fairly simple. You can move it fairly easily with your hands. So do that. Now we're also going to have a quick check of the tyre pressures. On the side wall of the tyres, so here we've got 8.5 bar, 120 psi. Now the next thing to do is just to go through the gears one by one. If you've got a bike stand, you can simply put the bike up on that and go through them. If not, it's a simple case of heading out on the road next to your house and going through them one at a time. They should already be indexed. You might find that if you ride your bike regularly for the first couple of weeks, then it might have slightly got stretched, the inner cables, and that can mean that the indexing is just slightly out. It's not a hard job to rectify, especially when you've got GCN, and here's a video to help you.